For the Detroit Lions, when it comes to the team, everybody speaks very, very highly of their explosive and prolific offense. But could the Detroit Lions offense in 2024 reach heights that have been seldom ever met in the NFL history books? We're going to talk about it in this episode, folks, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions fans, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So, here's the thing, folks. We as Lions fans, over the last couple of years, if there's one thing that we know, and one thing that has been a consistent, reliable factor for the Lions team, it has been this. We have a very powerful, we have a very prolific, we have a very efficient, explosive offense. That has been the one defining factor, one grace that the Lions team has had over the last 2 years. The reason why I say this is because on the opposite side of that coin, the Lions defense has not necessarily been nearly as comparable to the task as the Lions offense has. Now, why is that the case? The reason that is the case is because, well, we have to understand how the Lions offense is ran. We have to understand how the Lions offense is managed. It's managed and ran under the coaching of offensive coordinator Ben Johnson and under the leadership and play of quarterback Jared Goff. The reason why I put both of these men together is because the offense was put together as a partnership between those two men. Some people would like to say it was all Ben Johnson, but unfortunately that is not the case. The truth of the matter is that Ben Johnson and Jared Goff formulated the offense together in a partnership, in a hybrid between what the two men wanted to have the offense both be. Ben Johnson wanted to make sure that there were things in the offense that Jared Goff wanted, and Jared Goff obviously wanted to have some of his favorite concepts in there, but also still running the type of offense that Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell wanted. It's a partnership. It's a hybrid offense. And this hybrid offense that the Lions have is a unique offense, but despite its uniqueness, it has been remarkably successful. Think about this, folks. Since 2022, the Lions have had 2 top 5 offenses, both in 2023 and in 2022. But to put it even more specifically, in 2023, it was a top 3 offense. You are talking about an offense that is right up there with some of the very, very best over the last 2 years. It is a very, like I said, prolific, explosive, dynamic offense. But let's understand something here. I can guarantee you this. The Lions, as always, are going to want to find ways where they can push themselves to the next level. They're going to want to find ways to up their game. They're going to want to find ways to go to the highest echelon of productivity that they can. So let's think about this, folks. What if the Lions were to try and push themselves offensively to not only the number 1 offense in the NFL in 2024, but if they were to push their offensive production to being able to match or break records from either the two best offenses that have ever been in the NFL, in my honest opinion, which was the 1999 Rams, aka Greatest Show on Turf, or the 2013 Denver Broncos. Now I know some people, as soon as I say that, they're instantly going to pop their eyebrows, their ears are going to percolate a little bit, and they're going to be like, David, are you sure you want to open this Pandora's box? Are you sure you want to open this can of worms? Oh, trust me, I do. Trust me, I've taken a look at the numbers. Trust me, I understand what I'm getting myself into here. I have not just dived off the deep end and gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Let's understand this. I'm going to try and break this down as quickly as I can here, so that way I can actually get into how this applies to the Lions rather than going off on a long tangent here, because that's what you guys are more interested in. You want to hear how this applies to the Lions rather than me talking about the Broncos and the Rams offenses from yesteryears. So let's just take a look at what the 1999 Rams offense had to do, what they did, and then let's take a look at the 2013 Broncos offense, what they did, compare that to the Lions offense, and go from there. Shall we? All right, let's take a look at the 1999 Rams offense, and I'm going to put the stats, I'm going to put the individual rankings and everything up on the screen and talk about them really, really quickly here. When you take a look at the 99 Rams offense, what you're going to notice with the stats, the rankings, everything else is you are going to look at an offense that was virtually number one in damn near every offensive statistical category that I could find. Very few offensive statistical categories were actually outside of the number 3 spot. In fact, if you take a look, there's only 2 rankings that are outside of number 5. And that is actually number 5 for rushing yards and number 10 for rushing touchdowns. Everything else is number 1 or number 2. You are talking about an offense that is damn explosive, it's balanced, it's efficient. It's about as perfect of an offense as you're possibly going to find as far as the statistical rankings are concerned. That's how damn good that offense in 1999 was for the Rams. That's why Mike Martz was considered a genius offensive coordinator, because he was able to come up with an offense, albeit as complicated as it was damn hard as hell to try and stop. So that's 1999 Rams. Greatest show on turf, right? Let's go to the 2013 Broncos really quickly. When you take a look at the stats and the rankings for the Broncos of 2013, you're going to notice a very similar pattern. There's a lot of number 1 rankings. There's a lot of rankings that are in the top 5. But you're also going to notice that the Broncos rankings are not as nearly as synonymous as, everything being top 3, top 5, whatever. There's a lot of rankings that actually fall outside of the top 10. And we're going to talk about that here really quickly. What you're going to clearly see from both of those sets of rankings and stats that I just put up is that, 1, the 99 Rams and the 2013 Broncos, they love to use the passing game. Their passing game was used often, and it was used to perfection. That's why they were able to have very prolific passing games. And when you think about it, you have 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Kurt Warner and Peyton Manning. You have, for the Rams, they have 2 Hall of Fame quality wide receivers in Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. Whereas when you look with the Broncos, you have Wes Welker, you have Eric Decker, you have Demaryius Thomas, you have Julius Thomas. You have some really good receivers. You have 1 Hall of Fame quality wide receiver in Wes Welker. But a lot of those guys were elevated because of the type of quarterback that Peyton Manning was. So again, the whole point I'm trying to put out there is that this is an offense in both the Broncos and the Rams that, because of the quarterbacks they had, they loved to throw the ball. But the flip side to that coin is this. The 1999 Rams, the reason why they're considered one of the best offenses, if not the best overall offense to ever play all time, is simply put, they were not only explosive, but they were very well balanced. Like I said, the Rams offense was both number 1 in passing, it was also number 5 in rushing the ball, which when you consider that to the Broncos of 2013, the Broncos had the number 1 passing offense, but their rushing offense was only ranked 15th, substantially less than the Rams. So what you're seeing here is that the Broncos offense was able to throw just like the Rams. But the Rams were much more balanced because they could run the ball more efficiently, much better than what the Broncos did. And again, this is where it's going to stem into the biggest difference between those two teams. Efficiency. The Rams had the number 1 third down conversion offense in 1999, and they had the number 2 red zone converting offense in 1999. The Broncos had the 16th best offense in third down conversion percentage and the 22nd best offense in red zone percentage. The point of the matter is this. The Broncos, they had the volume. They had the ability to put up numbers like nobody's business. But the problem in comparison to the Rams, they didn't have the efficiency measurements. So, that's talking about both of those offenses. That way you guys have a pretty good idea. Broncos offense, great for volume, great for quantity. The Broncos offense's weakness, they're not good on efficiency. Whereas for the Rams, they had both volume and they had efficiency, but not nearly as much volume as the Broncos. So think about that. That's our baseline. Those 2 sets of stats are our baseline as to far as what the Lions offense needs to either come close to or needs to surpass. Now, I'm going to put the same type of stats up on the screen that I did for both the Rams and the Broncos, so that way you guys can get an understanding of where the Lions are from 2023 in comparison to those two teams. Because I'm going to say, hey, 2023, the Lions had very much the same personnel going into 2024 that they have right now. If you realistically think about it, the only guys from 2023 going into 2024 that we don't have on this roster are Jonah Jackson and Josh Reynolds. Other than that, we have virtually everybody else coming back. So it's like, listen, that's a pretty good, comparison, because it's like, hey, same guys that we had virtually last year are coming into this year. So take a look at what the Lions did in 2023. Again, you're going to notice a very similar pattern to what the Rams had as far as the rankings are concerned. Virtually every single ranking that the Lions have is top 5, and every single ranking that they have is top 10. Nothing falls out of top 10. So the Lions have a very powerful, very efficient, very balanced offense as far as the rankings go. So why am I putting all this together as far as talking about the rankings? Why am I spending so much time talking about that? The reason why is because we have to think about this in terms of where the Lions are right now going into 2023, and why I believe the Lions have the capability to either match or surpass certain areas of either the Broncos or the Rams offense from 1999 or 2013 for each respective team. Here's the reason why I say this. I believe that the Lions' passing offense, as far as total numbers, as far as total statistics, could surpass the Rams' offense. I don't believe it's going to be able to surpass the Broncos' offense. There's a reason why Peyton Manning was the kind of guy that he was. There were very few quarterbacks that could statistically put up the numbers that he could each year. The only guys that realistically could put up the same kind of numbers that he could were pretty much Drew Brees or Tom Brady. Both of those guys are in the Hall of Fame or going to be in the Hall of Fame. Tom Brady, it's a matter of time. Same with Drew Brees. But my point of the matter is this. Jared Goff, while he has the ability to put up great numbers, we saw him do it last year. Again, he was second most in the NFL in passing yards last year. He was fourth in terms of passing touchdowns. He has the capability to put up those numbers. But Peyton Manning numbers, 55 touchdowns, 5,500 passing yards? I don't think so. Could Jared Goff come somewhere in the middle of those two? Yes, he certainly could. But again, Jared Goff and the Lions offense is not predicated solely on throwing the ball every single damn down. That's not what the Lions offense does. They do throw the ball quite a bit. I mean, they threw the ball 605 times last year. But they're not going to throw the ball to the same ability or the same category as far as number of volumes or the volume of times that the freaking Broncos did. Just not going to happen. But the Lions could do something that surpasses what Kurt Warner and the Rams did in 1999. So that's talking about the passing offense. Now let's talk about the running offense. I'm just going to put it quite plainly. The Lions rushing offense completely spanks both the freaking Broncos and the Rams offense. And think about it. The Broncos offense was rushed by freaking Sean Moreno in 2013. That's not really saying a whole lot. But the Rams offense, Marshall Faulk, Hall of Fame Marshall Faulk, that is saying something. Now, I will say this. The Lions have a duo tandem. They have the ability, they're running with two different running backs. They have David Montgomery, they have Jahmyr Gibbs. So instead of just having one primary running back like what the Broncos and the Rams had, they're using a dual threat running back system. They use a complementary system. Now, I will say this. Neither running back that the Lions have has the skill set right now, at least, that what Marshall Faulk does. And what I'm going to say is that Jahmyr Gibbs could have that skill set in the near future, but right now he's not quite there just yet. I want to make heavy emphasis on that. Jahmyr Gibbs could become like a Marshall Faulk, but he's not there just yet. He has the skill set, it just hasn't fully blossomed. But what I'm trying to say is this. With Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery behind an even better offensive line than what they had last year, and the fact that the Lions' offense is already proven to be a much more, what's the word I'm going to use here, better rushing offense than either the Broncos or the Rams were, that's already a very good sign as far as what the Lions offense has to provide in that category. Now, When you start talking about position groups other than that, you start talking about tight end, you start talking about wide receiver, you start talking about offensive linemen. I'm just going to simply call for what it is. The Lions' offensive line, I totally expect and believe that most people would say that as far as a talent perspective is concerned, is better than what the Broncos had in 2013. Now, the 1999 Rams, that kind of gets a little sticky, but I'm going to just say this. Penei Sewell, I would stack up against almost any tackle that has ever played within the last 20-something years. Frank Ragnow, one of the best centers that's probably played in the last 20 years. My whole point of the matter is this. Offensive line rankings are going to get very, very ticky-tacky, but I'm going to say this. Our offensive line can definitely stack up with some of the best that have ever played in the NFL. I'm not worried about our offensive line's ability to play. And because of how great our offensive line is, I expect our offense is going to be able to go to further heights than what it was in 2023. Then you start taking a look at, like I said, wide receiver, tight end. I've already talked about quarterback and running back. Let's call for what it is. I honestly believe that Amon-Ra St. Brown, as far as a skill set is concerned, was better than any wide receiver that the Broncos had in 2013. Nothing against Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace, but Amon-Ra St. Brown has a much better skill set than what Demaryius Thomas had. Demaryius Thomas was a good wide receiver, don't get me wrong. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is on a completely different level, folks. Amon-Ra St. Brown is doing stuff that already 3 years in, Demaryius Thomas was having a hard time trying to envision at his point a couple of years after Peyton Manning got done. That's my whole point. I believe Amon-Ra St. Brown has the longevity factor that Demaryius Thomas simply couldn't have after Peyton Manning left. I think that Demaryius Thomas was more a byproduct of Peyton Manning, whereas Amon-Ra St. Brown, while Jared Goff developed him, I believe Amon-Ra St. Brown could play in just about virtually any damn offense, no problem. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying there. Then you start taking a look at what the Lions have also at wide receiver. They have Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams is better than any other wide receiver outside of Demaryius Thomas that the Broncos had. Because Eric Decker, more of a possession receiver. Wes Welker, he's a slot wide receiver, or was, pardon me. He no longer plays. My whole point of the matter is this. While we haven't seen the production out of Jameson Williams, we know that the talent is there. We're just waiting to see the production. So I believe the Lions wide receiver core is better than what the Broncos had as far as talent is concerned. However, though, let's just call it for what it is. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a great wide receiver, but is he Hall of Fame worthy yet? Not yet. When you consider the Rams wide receivers, they had Isaac Bruce and they had Torrey Holt. Isaac Bruce is already in the Hall of Fame. Torrey Holt, it's just a matter of time before he gets in. The point of the matter is when you have two Hall of Fame wide receivers and you have a Hall of Fame quarterback and Kurt Warner throwing to you, yeah, you do the math. My whole point of the matter is this. The Lions, again, they have the pieces. They just need to put the product on the field as far as total amount of volume. But then when you take a look at the tight end, I'm going to be just plainly honest. I can't even remember who the tight end was for the Rams. I know I wrote it down here somewhere in my notes. That's how forgotten this dude was. What was his name? I've got it written here somewhere. Okay, Roland Williams was the tight end for the Rams. I don't even know who the hell Roland Williams is. But when you take a look at the Broncos tight end, that was Julius Thomas. Julius Thomas was a one-year wonder with the Broncos because of the fact that Peyton Manning made him into a one-year wonder. And the reason I can say that is because after everything kind of fell out with the freaking Broncos, he decided to go and play for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he never lived up to that contract that the Jaguars gave him. But let's take a look at freaking what Sam Laporta has. Sam Laporta, as a rookie, set the NFL record for most receptions by a rookie. He broke the Lions receiving yard record in a single season for tight ends. So, yeah, he's already well ahead of where freaking Julius Thomas was. My whole point of the matter is this. When you talk about the entire offense that the Lions have right now, and you take a look at the overall breadth and scope of what the Lions have on offense, you have a top 7, top 10 quarterback in Jared Goff. Jared Goff, since 2021, one of the most productive quarterbacks in the NFL. He's ranked, again, if I recall correctly, he's in the top 10 for freaking passing yards. He's in the top 10 for passing touchdowns. He's in the top 10 for passer rating. The only thing that his numbers are not top 10 for is passing completion percentage. But again, top 7, top 10 quarterback, easily. There's no debate on that. When you take a look at the running back tandem, the Lions running back tandem last year had the most rushing yards between two running backs than any other running back tandem in the entirety of the NFL. So they're already the number one running back duo in the NFL. You take a look at Amon-Ra St. Brown last year, 1,500 receiving yards last year. You take a look at Sam Laporta, almost 900 receiving yards as a rookie tight end. And then you still have J-Mo, who hasn't fully broken out onto the scene yet. Jameson Williams, I fully expect, is going to have a breakout year. And then we talk about the offensive line like I talked about earlier. You're talking about an offensive line that is the number one offensive line in the NFL. It is the only offensive line that most analysts would say is in a category all by itself. Pretty much it's the Lions' offensive line and then everybody else. That is how good our offensive line is. So the way I'm putting this is this. The Lions have the pieces. The Lions have shown they have the ability to be that productive in the past. Really, all the Lions have to do to get into the category that I'm talking about here with the Rams and the Broncos is they just have to kick it up yet another notch. And think about it. The Lions have Ben Johnson coming back for a third year. So it's a third year in the same offensive scheme with Ben Johnson. Most of these guys have been together now for going on 2-3 years. So the Lions have a crap ton of chemistry between the two of them. They have the best offensive line. They have a top 7, top 10 quarterback, best running back duo. They have one of the best receivers in the game. They have arguably one of the best tight ends in the game. Like I'm saying, everything is there. The Lions have all the pieces they need to meet those great expectations of becoming an offense that is not only a premier offense, but becomes one of, if not the best offense in NFL history. Because, like I said, I believe the 1999 Rams offense is still the gold standard. I still believe that it's the best offense ever put on the field because it had that explosive factor that the Broncos offense had, but it was balanced and it was efficient. The Lions' offense does not have to necessarily break the Broncos' scoring record so long as they're able to say, hey, we can still score the same amount of points like the Rams did, but maintain that balance and maintain that efficiency. At that point, then, you become the best offense. At that point, then, you are the best offense in NFL history. I don't care if you shatter the Broncos' record of points scored in a single season or not. That one's irrelevant to me. Have the point record or not, if you're able to break the Rams' point record and still maintain the efficiency and explosive factor, then you're the best offense in my opinion. That's what I think the Lions can do. And that, I think, compared to what the Lions have done in the past, is a very manageable, very good feat that they can set themselves up for. That's why I'm saying the Lions' offense can go to new heights and they can put themselves in the record books of not only public opinion, but also the NFL record books. But anyway, folks, I decided to put this episode out there because this is something I've really thought about for quite a while. I think it's something that's doable. I think it's something that's tangible. But obviously, you, the fans, will let me know what you think. I truly believe that it's more than possible. But having said that, I'm going to end the episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these 3 things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past, or if you got to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and have not had a chance to do so, again, I highly encourage y'all to subscribe to the channel. It helps me out because I'm ever so thankful for every subscription I can get my hands on. But I also encourage y'all, please, make sure you hit that bell notification icon at the bottom of the page as well, so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also encourage y'all to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with everybody and anybody that you can. The more we can share it, the greater the channel grows, the greater the channel spreads, and the greater reach it has. And with that being said, to everybody, I hope y'all enjoyed the content. I hope y'all are having a blessed day. I hope y'all have got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.